Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 5 favorite comic books of the week. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is my top 5 favorite new comics for New Comic Book Day this week out of everything that came out, and it was a massive week. And not only was it a massive week, this was hands down the best New Comic Book Day we've had in 2022 so far. So many amazing books. Whittling them down to just 5 was a little difficult, but I did it. Let's get into it. At number 5, Naughty List, number 1 from Aftershock Comics. Written by Nick Santora with artwork by Lee Ferguson, coloring by Pippa Bowlen and Juan Cho, and lettering by Simon Bolin. This book was rather a huge surprise for me. I saw it on the solicitation, I saw it coming out, and I wasn't that excited for it, right? I've seen plenty of these stories about the origin of Santa Claus. And I'm like, how are you ever going to top what Grant Morrison and Dan Mora did over at Klaus? Well, it does kind of have that approach of telling an unconventional origin story for Santa Claus, but it does it in a completely different way that paints it more in an average Joe, blue-collar kind of a way with a little bit of a crime fiction twist. I loved it. So this dude is Santa Claus, and the legend of Santa Claus is not very much near what the actuality of it is. Now, it does involve magic, it does involve compulsion, but this book was real fun. It's got a nice kind of like snarky tone to it. The artwork was clean. It was very clear throughout. The story was clear. The dialogue was solid. And it's got a little bit of twist. Basically, someone steals his bag of goodies, and so now Santa's got to go and take it to town. But I love this interpretation on the Santa Claus myth, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Blew me away. At number 4, Rogues, number 2 from DC Black Label. Written by Joshua Williamson with artwork by Leo Max, coloring by Matthias Lopez and Jason Wordie, lettering by Hassan Otsman El Hau. So Rogues is a classic old school heist story involving the rogues of the Flash, right? One of the best rogues galleries out there because of their blue collar aspect. That's something I've always liked. They always felt very down to earth, average Joes. I know I just said that about the Naughty List book, but it's true. It's true. So anyway, I loved this book. I loved issue number 1, but I thought issue number 2 took it in a really cool direction. Joshua Williamson, who did an amazing extended run on The Flash recently, understands these characters, so he knows how to make them work appropriately so in a different kind of setting like this. Basically, all the rogues are a bit more aged. Some might say wise, or some might say not so wise, but they've all tried to have a go at a normal life. Captain Cold devises one last heist to get the crew together to go into Gorilla City and rob Gorilla Grodd. And Gorilla Grodd is portrayed like a Vegas boss or something in this, right? And it's a different approach, but it still works within the character. It's got some gnarly moments. The artwork by Leo Max, accentuated by Lopez and Wordie on the coloring, that stuff pops. It's got this nice grit and real texture to it that really helps it appropriate the atmosphere and tone necessary for this blue-collar, down-to-earth, average Joe heist story involving the rogues of the Flash. At number 3, Bloodstained Teeth, number 1 from Image Comics. Written by Christian Ward with artwork by Patrick Reynolds, coloring by Heather Moore, and lettering by Hassan Otsman El Hau. Bloodstained Teeth was a little bit on my radar because I'm a huge fan of the work of Christian Ward, mostly as an artist. He is a brilliant artist, and I usually check out anything he's attached to. He has written some comic books before. There was Tommy Gun Wizards, which I think got renamed to Machine Gun Wizards or something like that, but it was like Al Capone meets Harry Potter a little bit, and it was a cool book. I think Sammy Cavella did the artwork there, so I was excited to check this out, but it was another vampire story. There's been plenty of these vampire stories, and Christian Ward hadn't really quite won me over as a writer. but that's all done. That's all done. Christian Ward as a writer is really cool because this is a cool concept on a familiar idea, right? So it's about vampires. There are purebloods, and then there are people that are just simply turned, right? And the purebloods do not allow themselves to go and turn others, right? Like they're troublesome, they lead to attention, and this is something that they don't want to do because they've operated in the shadows for centuries, right? We've seen this before tons of times. Blade, the movie in particular, really kind of does this kind of story. But one of these vampires, one of these purebloods is like, screw that. I'll be a vampire for hire. So if you got the right amount of dough, he'll turn you into a vampire. Or maybe kill somebody else for you, something like that. But he kind of gets found out by the council. And then that provides the conflict in this series. But what really helps put it right over that edge to make it on the top 5 was the artwork. Patrick Reynolds, Heather Moore, that combination of colors and line work, holy cow. Textured, gritty, raw, but bright. Flamboyantly bright. Like an excess, a barrage of primary neon colors. Like, wow, blew me away because this is not the approach you typically see on a vampire book. And even with those bright neon colors, it doesn't lose any of its edge. It doesn't lose any sharpness. It doesn't lose any of the dark tone and atmosphere, and it blew me away. The art in this was top-notch, spectacular, some of the best out there. The story was incredibly interesting, and the character fully realized and easily accessible and likable by me. This book was awesome.
Hey everybody, this Monday, May 2nd, we have on the Experience some great books. You're going to have Rex. You're going to have John. You're going to have Rockin Robbie. You're also going to have lots of Doctor Strange, Star Wars, and more. We've got Defenders #1, Defenders #2, Marvel Feature with the Defenders #1, Marvel Feature #2 with the Defenders, Fantastic Four 27, and hopefully more vintage. Oh, wait, we do. Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts #2. We'll have classic Marvel Star Wars, including newsstand editions. And we will have Moon Knight. This one has Daredevil. I can't believe it. We're actually going to put this up for sale. I love Daredevil. We have more Moon Knight. We have more Moon Knight. We have more Moon Knight. And let's go back to Fantastic Four. This has the Submariner. But you know what? It's going to be available Monday, May 2nd, 6 p.m., only on the Experience. Join Robbie, Rex, and John. It will be a fun time, and we're also going to have some giveaways. See you then.
At number 2, The Swamp Thing. Number 12, from DC Comics. Written by Ram V, with artwork by Mike Perkins, coloring by Mike Spicer, lettering by Aditya Bidikar. How in the hell is this book just getting better and better? I don't know the formula, the magic formula that makes it that way, but it's just the truth. This is the actuality of our reality that we are participating in right now. Ram V, Mike Spicer, Mike Perkins, and Aditya Bidikar just keep leveling up issue to issue on Swamp Thing. So what was a 10-issue series became a 16-issue series, and I'm glad because there is so much here that we would have missed. We've already seen Ram playing with new concepts on familiar ideas, integrating ideas about new avatars for new parliaments and stuff like that. We get that more realized here in issue number 12. Holy cow, the Parliament of Gears, that's awesome. I thought that was a really cool kind of take and approach to this story, anchoring it more not just into the Alan Moore run, of course, but with the character of Tife, anchoring it into some more recent Swamp Thing stuff. So really cool work there with the story, the characterizations, Liam, his relationship, the way that blossoms, no pun intended. I loved it. The villain's great, and then there's an introduction of a new element at the end, and it's just, I am loving it. You can tell that Ram V's really having fun, sinking his teeth into all of this mythology, all of this lore of Swamp Thing, and Mike Perkins and Mike Spicer on the artwork, organic, fluid, structure is impeccable, amazing composition and layouts. Holy freaking cow. Everything about this book is top-notch, and this is the best issue of Swamp Thing yet. And at number 1, Ghost Cage #2 from Image Comics. Illustrated and co-written by Nick Dragata, co-written by Caleb Gellner, and lettered by Russ Wooten. I really liked Ghost Cage #1 when it first came out. It made the pick of the week. I thought it was brilliant in its scale, in its scope, in its immaculate homage in art to Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira. Like, I loved the artwork and I loved the story. Basically, this big power plant provides most of the power for society in this story. It has a blackout after some terrorist comes in and starts blowing stuff away. Meanwhile, the dude in charge of this power plant has designed an avatar to go in there, along with a little bit of IT support, find this terrorist and end the threat, but at the same time has to go through each level, which has like a boss on it, which is like a personified avatar of these different forms of energy, like hydro energy, solar energy, gas energy, things like that, right? And the story really progresses and anchors you in emotionally through some character stuff in issue #2. Issue #1, amazing in scale and scope and concept, but it was, as brilliant as it was kind of missing an emotional hook. That totally comes in issue #2. It has this quirky sense of absurd fun with it in issue #2, and I think it leveled up. So this is just a 3-issue series. Each one is extra size. You can just sit there for hours looking at the artwork, amazing use of screen tones, white media on top or some scratching, something like that. I'm pretty sure it's mostly done digital, but it replicates that intense workmanship of the Otomo and Company stuff from back in those days, and I love it. So it's got that nice manga flair, it's got that scale, and it's got that scope of something like Akira, the delicate texture and detail. And then the story, like I said, the characters come to life here. The concept is more fully realized. It's progressed. And it was just a nice, fun, absurd comic book with some top-notch artwork. It had everything working for it. And so it made the pick of the week and #1 on this list. So what'd you think about these titles? What's your top 5? What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Be sure to join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. Like I said, I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Pop, pop, boom!